All right, everybody, good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going to be playing the first stage, The Doom of Dorthonion. This is our second session in this campaign, and this session, as well as the previous session, is actually a prologue. The first session featured Tet playing Esteemed, and the second session is going to be a solo as well, featuring Wanderer, who is playing Esteede's uncle, a proud and noble Noldor elf by name of Dorthonion. And we're using the Heroes and Hardships system. It's a system in development by our own player, Tetnak, on Blades and Blasters. So if you like what you see here, please check out the quick start guide that's featured on Drive-Thru RPG, and that's available now. I believe a Kickstarter will be coming in the next several months. But there's still a little bit more work to do on that system. We're doing some place testing now. So without further ado, let's get started. And tell me, Wander, if you can see everything okay here.
Yep.
Cool. Here comes the introduction, as I want to do. It has been nearly 400 years since the enemy was encircled in his northern fortress. Indeed, most thought the furnaces of Angband all but spent, and the deep delvings of Thangorodrim in their last throes. But there were those among the Noldor who were wary. For indeed, at times the Dark Lord Morgoth still sent out sorties to the slaughter. These are but jests, said some. The Lord of the North has no pity. These orcs and beasts he sends forth are for nothing but his own amusement. Slaves and thralls they are, and perhaps those that served poorly. But the wary were mindful, and they were ever vigilant. One of the vigilant was Dorthonion, a mighty captain even among the Noldor, and revered throughout all of Ardgalen and Dorthonion. For Dorthonion served under the Lord brothers Agnor and Egrod, and now did his duty near the northern marches, where the siege of Angband still was a sight to behold. And now we find Dorthonion near the end of the day. Ever watchful, he and his cohort patrol the lines on horseback. And now it is the time for evening muster before breaking to give thanks to Varda beneath the sparkling stars of the north. So basically, Wand, you are, let me move your token. You're basically outside of Angband, kind of along the siege lines, if that makes any sense. You're not back in Dorthonion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see where Ardgalen here, it'd be kind of north of that region.
Okay.
Now, at this point in the timeline, Ardgalen has had 400 years of prosperity and being tended to by the elves. So it's green and luscious, pretty far north until you get north, close to Thangorodrim. And Thangorodrim, it looks like this. I'll let you kind of role play.
3 volcanoes, right? Yeah.
I'll let you kind of role play what it looks like as all the patrols come in for the evening to do a head count and muster.
So as they come in, Dorthonion, as he always does, is bolt upright on his horse. He sits on his pure white elven steed, and his bearing is proud and cold, but there is a light of a different kind of pride as he watches his men come in for the muster. A pride in their vigilance, in their bearing, and in that they are still keeping the enemy of the world locked up in his ancient fortress after all these years, and that their watch hasn't faltered.
And you can see the horses come down into the field before Thingordrim. The furnaces of the mountains have dimmed in days of late, and there's only wisps of smoke rising into the air. There are those among you who says, you should just assault the fortress one last time, get this over with. But you and maybe some others think that perhaps the enemy is withholding his might for one last battle, one last stroke. And looking up into the mountains, you see the siege lines, you see horses kind of threading their way down mountain trails over craggy land, and they all kind of muster down in this meadow. You can hear the thundering hooves, and at the time of the muster, the soot in the sky parts, and the setting sun from the west just glints on their brightly polished armor, and you feel it reminiscent of those days of old in Valinor before you crossed the Helcarax to come over to Beleriand. For indeed, you are one of the ancient among the Noldor, and probably the oldest player character in this game. One of your lieutenants, an elf by the name of Kaner, who rides a black stallion, kind of thunders up to you and says, "The troops are all in, my lord. All except one." And he kind of looks towards the mountain. "Solgrian. He is always one to tarry. He is a lover of the mountains. Even these harsh views give him some measure of pleasure, although I'd rather find my way back south to Dorthonion, where we are being called in 2 days. I think we can give him a little more time to return. If he does not, well, perhaps you would come with me. An evening stroll on horseback might be just the thing right now."
And Trenian looks to him and smiles. His smile rarely reaches his eyes. But with someone he served with for as long as Kaner, it does actually, there is a touch of warmth to it. And Kaner knows him well enough to know that this sort of apparent coldness is because Trenian keeps himself disciplined at all times. He is concerned about the sort of failings of character he has seen in some of his fellow Noldor over the years, and he's always guarding himself against them. But yes, as Kaner speaks to him, he nods and says, "Your words are wise. We will grant him a little more time, and then, should he not return, a gentle ride would be most pleasurable."
Kaner reins his horse up and brings it in close to you, Tyrinian. The black and white horses, their trots almost fall into a cadence as you kind of draw your mounts up and look over the ashen field towards the gates of the enemy that 400 years ago was closed up into his fortress. And Kaner says, "According to the years of our people, this has been but a blink of an eye. I do not underestimate the Dark Lord that dwells under those mountains, like some of our kin do. The sons of Feanor. I do not want to call them unbrave, but they seem not to risk much, though it is their oath that they deem to." His voice just trails off, and you sense some tightness in it and some anger.
"It is their oath that has brought us here so far from the blessed shores. Yes." that we all chose to follow.
Indeed we did. If I ever could look upon those blessed shores again, the light of Valinor, I fear something I will never see.
Trust to hope, my friend. The days may be long, perhaps the years, but in time, all things will pass, and even this siege, this imprisoning of our enemy, this shall pass, and we shall return to those bright shores where our people truly find their home.
If only the host of Valinor were as reasonable as you, Terranian. I fear their wrath may not be stayed, no matter what good works we do here. And the Dark Lord that I shall not name, he is ever crafty in his ways. I fear yet that he delves deeper, preparing weapons of war that we have not yet seen the likes of. But then again, I am always one of a somber mood, Terranian. My thoughts dwell on things of the dark. It is my way. I am a man of war, and I perhaps have found my role in this siege.
You and I are of one mind, my friend. Much as I long for the brightness of the undying lands, there is a part of me that has found... I do not care to name it, but has found something here in this struggle, this cause, this setting ourselves against such a dark foe. There is a nobility, a heroism to be found in the courage that our people have shown. I think it perhaps suits us ill to tarry so long in war, but there is a blessing even in this.
You are a wise elf, Terranian. I listen to your words and I nod in agreement, but I find that nod comes all too easily. I find myself loving this sword, and he kind of unsheaths his sword, and as it glows bright in the westward sun, I find myself loving the sword more than what it defends. Part of me wishes the hosts of Angband would issue forth to have this whole mess done with. Be it end in death or victory, at least, well, we would have an answer.
Judge not thy heart too harshly, Kaine. The love of the blade you are finding may be but a desire for an end to waiting, an end to uncertainty, an end to this long passage of years. Grant yourself perhaps this, that this is not perhaps lust for war, but lust for the war's ending.
He nods somberly and looks overhead. And as he looks overhead, that shaft of sunlight, as the sun slowly fades behind the mountains, goes out and is instead replaced by the billowing smoke coming from the precipice of the peaks of Thingordrim. At that time, you hear another thundering of hoofs, and one of your soldiers, Terranian, pulls up. Lord, may I give report?
Speak.
There still have not been word of Solgrion. It is unlike him to tarry so in the mountains. Even he, though absent-minded he is, knows that we depart for Dorthonion in 2 days. Tonight we give thanks to Varda under the stars, and I know Solgrion. He will never miss a chance at revelry. I find that I find it mysterious that he is missing.
Mysterious, yes, yet not yet a cause for undue alarm. Kenya and I shall ride, and perhaps shall find him yet. Muster the men, prepare to give thanks, and on our return, all shall be well.
Farewell, my lord. If I know Sahlgren, he became enchanted with lynx or some other sort of animal that lives in these mountains yet, even under this evil eye. And he kind of turns, and as he rides away, there's a dark green cloak kind of billowing behind him. And he wheels, and the other horses on the field kind of speed away to the south and to the west. And Kainir reins up beside you. So then, Turanian, it is you and me. It has been too long since we rode these mountains alone.
And Turanian smiles and says, "Yes, let us ride out together, my friend. And let us hope that all is as well as I have, as I described." And he just raises an eyebrow just slightly to indicate to Kainir that perhaps he's not actually as optimistic as he was telling the soldier. I think perhaps a little caution would serve us well.
Indeed. I'm always one for caution, you know me. And you know that is absolutely not him. He'd rather charge it the tip of the spear rather than anything else. And you guys kind of wind up a trail into the mountains. And just kind of set the scene for me. Tell me what it looks like as you wind up into the mountains outside the siege lines of Angband.
Yeah, so as they start to move up into the mountains, they leave behind the greenery of the valley. Things start to become the vegetation starts to become more sparse, and then as they go higher still, it becomes more rocky. And in the bare landscape, it's easier to see things move. There's less distraction of waving grass and moving trees. And Turanian changes from a sort of polite conversation with Kainir into silent watchfulness. He's looking mainly ahead to see if he can see any signs of the missing rider, but he's also keeping an eye out around them. The fact that it's been peaceful for this many years, he's never forgotten that the enemy are there, not far away, and perhaps tunneled beneath their very feet for all they know. And he's never forgotten the sight of bloodlust in the eyes of orcs. So he stays watchful.
Kainir, as you journey up into the mountains, draws his cloak about him. As you go through switchback after switchback, you notice that the temperature starts to drop slightly. Kainir says to you, "Your always cheerful banner, Turanian, has ceased. It has dried up like these creek and riverbeds here in the far north. Did I disappoint you, or are you reflecting upon our mission? You do not worry about our friend, do you?"
Let us not use the word worry. Let us use the word caution. I shall be cautious until we see him again.
Of course.
I believe that he is probably well, but I also know that someday our foe shall ride forth again, and few even among the wise can tell what will precede such a riding forth. perhaps some small incident like a missing rider. And Terenian just kind of quirks an eyebrow at Kanin and says, "So when a rider is missing, I am cautious." And then he smiles. Said, "There is no deficiency to your company, Kanin. Merely to my sociability."
I understand your words, Terenian. My mind ever drifts back to the men, the elves in our ranks, the day-to-day life of the camp. These mountains, these howling winds, these sparse flowers that grow here even under the oppression of the Dark Lord. Well, Solgrian finds pleasure in this, but I do not. I suppose I have more of Aule in me than of Varda.
And
He's
that
like the
Terenian's...
he's like the yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just... No, carry on.
Oh, just, if you didn't know the lore, he's like the kind of smith, created the dwarves and that sort of thing.
He's the sort of like almost kind of the god of might, really, I guess.
Yeah, a little more kind of like earth. More
Okay.
than Varda. Varda is like green and growing things.
Cool. And Terenian will smile at Kainir and say, This is merely your nature, my friend. We are as different as these blades of grass. Each of us our own place on the field of this world. And he turns for just a second to look back down into the valley and say, so many blades of grass, each a little different, but together a beautiful valley. And says, thus are the hosts of the Noldor. Each of us our own place in this shining host. And just for a second, he looks a little wistful. It's been a long while since he's allowed himself a sort of whimsical thought like that. And he recalls, days in Valinor of just uncounted years of just kind of poetry and reflection and song and just for a second he misses it intensely, but he shakes his head and the feeling passes.
I sense a shadow passing over you, Terenian, longing for home as I often do. Focus on the here and now. We have a lost friend and soldier to find. Solgrian, the absent-minded, it seems. And now, dare I say, this path is becoming treacherous. And as you wind higher and higher up into the mountains, every once and again, your horse's hooves kind of stumble and trip, and you have to catch yourself. So make me a first check of this campaign for you.
Oh.
Is that riding or animal handling? I forget what it's called in this one.
There's both, but probably riding in this case.
Yeah, probably riding. And this is more for role flavor than anything else. We're going to start with a TN 21 to start with, which you could probably hit.
Okay.
Got it.
No worries.
So tell me what looks like as you expertly guide your mount up into these mountains.
Yeah.
And save you and Kainir valuable time.
So it's a little different to how a human rider would do it. A human rider would be steering his horse, but Terenian, being an elf lord with an elven horse, is doing it rather differently. He's kind of whispering guidance to his horse and just kind of gently nudging him with the reins, but mainly kind of letting him pick his own way and almost advising him rather than anything else.
And the trail gets even steeper and steeper as Kaynir struggles to keep up. You look backwards, and every now and again you see him kind of struggle and slip off the saddle. He catches himself, no doubt. But this next one is going to be a TN 29.
Okay. So, ride again. And +3. Yes.
What does it look like as
So,
Kaynir starts to falter, but you expertly guide your mount? Give me some background on this horse, too, by the way.
yeah. So, just a second. Just looking up something. So his horse's name is Surital, and he's had him since a foal. You know, he's rode this horse's forebears as well. You know, his family have kind of trained this bloodline of horses, and he views him as a companion as much as anything else. They've spent so much of their lives together, and he just seems to anticipate when Surital is going to find himself in trouble, and then little nudge or a little word, and he kind of guides him away from it. It's becoming a little more effort. He's leaning forward and talking and kind of nudging the reins a lot more than he was before. And he's also watching Kaynir. So he's not riding as fast as he could because he doesn't want to get too far ahead of Kaynir. Partly because he doesn't want them to be separated, but also partly because he doesn't want to embarrass Kaynir. Oh, Kaynir.
He has some stuff on his sheet that's not supposed to be there, obviously. When you have an hour to prep, you tend to copy characters.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Let me.
You're just trying to make me look good. That's what it was.
He has dead elf stats. We'll say that.
Really bad at writing.
Yeah.
He's not like good at writing.
Dead elves can't ride.
Three wound hardships.
Yeah, I shouldn't have taken him out of camp that wounded if only I'd have really thought about it.
Hurry up. Rub some dirt on it. Let's go.
It could be like the original. I'm old enough to remember the Hobbit computer game with the constant. Thorin says, "Hurry up!"
That.
That's what we need. Thorin
Is that the Apple IIc one where you would say "Go east"?
That's
or go
right.
where?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gollum killed me every time.
I don't think I even got as far as Gollum. Yeah.
So eventually, Kaynir has to swallow his pride, and you see him. He calls for a halt for a moment, and he dismounts from his horse. Alas, my friend and captain, I am no horseman as you are. You have what, 700 years on me in that skill? I must take a rest, but moreover, I fear that my steed and my riding skill can take us no further. We must leave them here. But our friend rode higher into the mountains. This I know. This was his route. Come, we must continue on foot. Although, I know you could continue on your valiant steed if you would like. But I would like company, on foot, here in the snow, for it is growing deep.
Do not think me so unfeeling as to proceed mounted when my friend is on foot. And Dorthonion dismounts and whispers something in his horse's ear again, basically saying, kind of, wait here. If it gets light and we're not back, go. I don't know whether elven horses could understand that, but that's what he's trying to communicate. And then he turns to Kainir and says, lead on.
Lead on. Those were not words of an unfeeling captain. I know you have swallowed your pride, Trendian. You could continue on horseback, though my skills fail me. But, like I said, I take more in common with Aule than Varda, and ever I long for the earth beneath my feet in these granite hills and these mountains. Ah, the air up here, even, is unmarred by Morgoth. Can you smell it? It's fresh and clean. My head is more clear now. I am not so morose, and I think I even dare say I am more hopeful for the days to come. For in 2 days we will be back in Dorthonion, among our lords, Agnor and Aglor, and even the rest of our kin. You have nieces and nephews, no? Would you not be glad to see them, and would your heart not be lifted?
I will be glad to be among my kin again. But I am sad to say that every time we leave this watch, leave this most somber duty, there is a little piece of me that remains. For though I take my rest and my ease among my kin, and my heart is glad to see the green boughs of Dorthonion, there is nothing there that seems of as much import as our duty here. Here we hold back the greatest evil in the world. There, well, we take our leisure. And much more pleasant though it is, it seems of less import, of less weight. Perhaps I grow morose too, my friend.
I dare say you may be somewhat morose. If that is the case, then I guess you are in good company. I would be glad to take my high heart and my feelings and sink them down low again so that we may continue to have a gloomy conversation. I think we would be foul company back beneath the stars giving thanks to Varda this night. Instead, let us wallow in our pity, trying to find our wayward friend who no doubt has just become enamored of some mountain flower or black squirrel.
I think perhaps that with this trail it is more than possible his horse has suffered some injury, and perhaps he too. For me, this treacherous path has actually lightened my expectations, for I did not find the idea of him wandering and staring at flowers, of which he is fond, to be a reason to be out so late. But perhaps a wound taken from a fall from a horse, that I can understand. So, yes, perhaps my mood is dark indeed to take comfort in such dark thoughts. And to kind of lighten the words, he smiles at Kainir and says, "Come, let us lead on and not stand in morose thought." And smiles again.
Then lead on, Terrenian, my brave companion. Lift your heart high. If you are not worried, and then I am not either. Can you? So the sun has set at this point.
Mm-hmm.
but the light of the moon, which is a full bright moon, it's glinting off the snow, kind of high up in this altitude, and you see the peaks up high. If you look to your right, you will see like very, very dimly the gates of Angband far across this plain. But you're up in this kind of fresh air. It's a little bit colder, and there's definitely snow on the ground. But Dorthonion, I'd like you to give me a survival check.
Ooh. Okay. Trying to think what that is. Oh, I guess it's elemental, isn't it? Yeah. Survival. Not his strong point.
Let's see if he has it. Nope. So you travel up the path for some time until eventually you hear something traveling over the winds. And it seems harsh, shrill. You hear the raised voice of an elf. You even hear, dare I say it, screaming. Screams of fear and even of pain. And then you see it. And you don't know how you could have missed it. But looking downwards, turning to your left among the snow, you see droplets of blood, red, crimson on the white, even here and there splashed over the rocks, heading further up into the mountains. And now and then, like when the wind ceases, you hear, "Gah! Gah!"
And Dorthonion will whisper a swift prayer, and he looks across to Kainir and says, "Perhaps my darker thoughts were yet not dark enough. Come, let us see what may yet be done. Tread cautiously, my friend." And he's going to draw his sword. Now, I don't know how you want this to work. The sword's got the light quality, but if he's got any choice, he won't be shedding any light from it at the moment. So I don't know how you want it to work, whether he's got any control or whether it always sheds light.
No, I think it's fine. It's under your control, in my opinion.
Cool.
It would delight, when you scream a battle cry, of which you will say in the future. If you want to light up, you have to learn Elvish and say something in Elvish word to light up. That'll be my rule.
Oh no!
But not tonight.
Not this night.
If you do join battle, though, you'll have to say something. Kainir draws his steel too. Sing! You hear steel being drawn. And he follows behind you, and he looks down into the snow. This is foul tidings indeed. I hear a fearful scream on the wind. This is unlike our friend. Some evil has beset him, and I do not like the thought of him screaming in pain and anguish.
I like it not. But let us proceed to his aid. At the very least, he will not be alone. And Dorthonion starts getting across the snow with a light elven gait, following, and he's trying to move as fast as he can without risking either tripping over something and injuring himself, or running straight into something he hasn't seen. So he'll go as fast as he can and yet still be cautious.
Absolutely. So what does it look like as you kind of run over give me a stealth check first.
Okay.
Give me a stealth check, and I'm not going to roll for the NPC. I just want to see what this looks like.
Okay, stealth.
It's pretty good. Okay. You're going to be able to get a look at this person. Well, what's going on.
Cool. Yeah, so he moves fairly lightly across the snow and using boulders and darker patches to his advantage. He manages to keep moving fairly swiftly, but without making himself too obvious.
All right. Hopefully you'll be able to see that.
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Let me, there we go. Well, now.
No.
Refresh your screen, it might work.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I might have to restart the API. Oh, there you go. It's working now.
Okay, I'm just refreshing. Aha! Yes, I see.
Okay. So, as you follow the blood trail further and further, you and Kaner give yourselves a sidelong glance. Your sword doesn't light up until you give it words of power to do so, and you duck your way into a crag, a crevasse within the mountains, and getting lower and lower. You skirt your way along these rocks. There's red blood slicked along them as you kind of go faster and faster, but you try to keep quieter and quieter and duck lower and lower. But you hear the screams, and the screams are not getting lower and lower. They're getting higher in pitch and more desperate. Back away from you, foul beast! You will not have me this day. I will take you with me. And you hear a roar. And what are you going to do? You see everything here. You can look down over this cave. Overhead, there's a bright moon in the sky, and you see the remnants of victims long past scattered about this cave. And you see your comrade, Sogorian, kind of locked in combat with this beast of a thing. Tell me your reaction first, and then I'll let you give me a lore check, Tyrannian.
Yeah, is this... So first of all, before I say how I react, is this something I've seen before? Because I think...
No, and I would like you to follow up. Ted, are you listening?
Sorry, what?
Are you listening? What's the equivalent of a fear check?
Does it have fear? The aura of fear, whatever. Courage.
Yeah, I would first do me a lore to see what you know about this thing.
Okay.
And then I want you to give me a courage.
Okay, I'm just going to have to check because I get a benefit. I get some bonuses to lore. Let me just check. So I get +4, and knowledge. I get +7 to lore. Okay.
Yeah, and you also see Solgrion. You see his horse is slain at the mouth of the cave too, by the way.
Dorthonion gives it a momentary sad glance. He hates to see a noble beast come to a sad end like this, but his main concern right now is this evil creature and also the welfare of the soldier under his command.
You know.
Courage.
Yep. Not great. Is there like a mental wound or injury we can do?
I think you
If it has, I mean, yes. If it is specifically, if it has a fear effect, like it, there's aura of fear is one of the ancestry traits that could do that.
Let's just role play it for now, then, Turanian. So you do know what this thing is. You've never seen one. But there are rumors that the one of the most notorious lieutenants of Morgoth, one boy named Sauron, has hosts of werewolves in his host. These are beasts, part man, part wolf. He is the Lord of Wolves, and the fact that something like this is present so close to the Sheeds lines is nothing that has been seen in 400 years. And so, roleplay wise, you are certainly shaken. I'm not going to give you a mechanical deficit just yet. Later on, I might actually do something like that and give you like a -3, like an injury.
Okay.
If I make you a courage check, but for right now, you're just very frightened, and because you have not seen this before. And the fact is, right now, he is bowed over Salgrion and has him pinned down, about to rip his throat out.
Okay. So, Trenian, as he realizes what it is, he draws in a sort of ragged breath, trying to calm himself. But he feels his hands shaking somewhat. He's been expecting something like this for the last 150 years, every day. But to suddenly have it happen is no less shocking. And to see such a creature, he thought perhaps orcs, or something coming out of the gates, or tunnels. To encounter a twisted evil being like this, almost alone in the mountains, is taken him by surprise, really, and he's more scared than he expected. But he's an old soldier, and fear is almost an old friend to him. So even though his hands are still shaking, he turns to Kanan and says, "Muster your courage, my friend. We must save him." And he holds above his head his sword Alcamaril, and he calls on the name of Varda, and the sword bursts into not actually that bright a light, but certainly bright enough to be a white light that is sudden. So even though it's not that bright, it's very noticeable. And he yells across at this thing, "Come, spawn of evil, try your teeth on me." And he'll start sort of sliding down. I presume this is a slope here. He'll start trying to slide down this slope. His main aim, he's got his shield out in front of him, and he's trying to make sure even if he slips over backwards so that his shield will cover him. But he's trying to make a big sort of entrance so that it views him as a threat and comes for him.
As he does that as well, Saenir unsheaths his sword, lifting it aloft. Elbereth! Elbereth! Girth Gorum till Mimriel! Death to the foes of the elves! And he slides down with you. I'll let you do that. Just tell me what it looks like as you kind of land in these pile of bones, and then we'll roll initiative. The werewolf has wounded your comrade greatly, and you hear him he's screaming in pain. The werewolf turns his maw to you, wet with the crimson blood of a nearly dead elf. And in your minds, you kind of hear, the wolves of the night come for the enemies of Sauron. The enemies of the Sauron are the same as mine. Prepare now to meet your death, and do not whimper before you pass from this world.
I will give you no such satisfaction, fell beast. Come, you will find my teeth. My tooth is longer than yours. And he holds his sword out in front of him.
Sweet. All right, so you draw your sword, and with that, we'll roll some initiative.
Cool.
Let's see. Hopefully. Oh, no. I'm going to have you do that again. I need to remove all terms from last session.
Okay.
Do you want to keep that?
Yes, please.
You can keep that. I'll just add you in.
Okay.
Just roll another one. No, roll another one, then I'll change it. You want to keep that?
Ah, no, I said I'd keep the other one. Much as I'd like
being
to.
Nice.
I know.
Being nice. All right. I'll do 27. All right. He'll roll his. Not bad, not bad.
That's quite nice narratively that we kind of act almost at the same time, having fought together all these years.
Oh, no.
Oh, so the other one wouldn't have helped.
The werewolf, he turns to you. He seems to shrink in size as he does so. Just near your mind. And he will go towards you. Yeah, 3 hexes. And that will be his action. And I'll bring you up, Dorthonion. What are you doing?
Okay, so Dorthonion's going to move out as well. And he kind of sort of mutters to Kanim and Quenya, fan out. And he's going to move 3, I guess. I guess that's as far as we can move. Can't remember how far I can move.
What's your speed?
That would explain it. Yeah, let me have a look. Speed.
5.
It's saying 1. Oh, I guess I didn't set it. Darn. I thought
Speed is typically 1. Speed you multiply by your hexes that you can move. So if you're just moving, you can move 5 hexes. If you run, you can move 10 hexes for. Yeah.
And you take 1. It's 1 AP per hex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then if you have speed 2, it's actually 2 hexes per 1 AP.
Right,
but it's just.
Cool. That's right. Thank you. I'd forgotten. Okay, so he's going to move 4 to there. Just trying to move around it. He doesn't want to have his back to the cave in case there are more in the cave.
Have it?
Yep. And he's going to... Dorthonion's setting himself defensively. I can't remember the name of the action because I am rubbish, but I will look it up.
Don't tell us that. We gotta do this on our own. Training wheels are off.
Yeah.
1 action per turn.
Oh, of course, yeah, because I've moved, yes. So I've got that's next 5 AP, that's all I'm doing.
So that'd be 5 AP. 5.27. Yeah, Kaner is going to do the same thing. He's going to. So. He can't attack first. He's going to move. He moves 5.
I was suggesting to him that he found out.
Yeah, he'll do the same thing. He'll move. Actually, if he moved more than 3, the wolf would be able to go first. So he'll move 3, and he will do defensive as well.
Not that he can yet.
So that'd be 4.26.
Yes, he's just moving for now.
Can't do that. 5, he said.
That was to me. That was to me because I wanted to move and then do an action. But you do your movement, and then next time you act, you get to do your action.
So the wolf. He will move 2 hexes. That actually will bring him up to you, and that will bring him to 4.42. But since he's in front of you in initiative, he still gets to attack, I believe. So that would bring him up to 7.42.
So he'll attack after that, I believe.
Is his speed 2?
His initiative is higher.
No, is his speed? You said he moved 2 and then attacked. You can't do that. Movement's an action just like anything else. You can't move and attack typically unless it's a specific action that lets you do so.
Okay, so then he'll just.
Yeah, so I think he'll move, then
okay.
Kaner will move, and then he can attack.
Yep.
So it'd be 4.42.
Now he would be a 5, right? Because he moved 2. That's what you said.
Kaner. I mean, Kaner could. Get 2 hexes. That'd bring him up to what, 6.26? He couldn't attack as well. Yeah. Yep, Kaner will move up, and now it would be the werewolf's turn. So the werewolf will attack one of you guys.
Yep.
Oh, Kaner.
Oof.
So he turns towards Kaner and lunges at him with his claws and tries to like grab him and bite through his armor. And he's going to do reckless attack. Reckless attack. Just have to look up. Oh, that has to get aggressive. He has aggressive. After successfully striking with reckless attack, you add your strength score to your post-roll modifier as damage. Now take an additional pre-roll modifier to all defensive actions imposed by reckless attack. All right, so that hits. 17, right arm, level of success. So it'd be what? Negative. That'd be a 14.
Why does he have 2 hardships? Are you
Who?
sure you don't have like injury or wounds set on him?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So add 16 to the result. And it might not hit. He gets to dodge, right?
Yeah, I was about to say he gets to dodge.
Yeah, he would. So it'd be 16.
Well, 33.
Yeah. So 33.
Mm-hmm.
So you could dodge it.
No, he has. It's a lot more than 33. You have a -9 and a -16.
Yeah.
No, it's 41 or 42.
Oh yeah.
Just do away with the penalties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not gonna be very good. So is a dodge one AP?
Yep.
Okay. So the werewolf. Attack is 3, right?
Yep. Reckless attack is 4. Reckless attack is 4.
Sweet. So you go 9.42. 9.42. And then if K-Deer wants to dodge, which he does,
Come on.
it'd be 21. 21 level of success minus what, 3?
Yep.
So 19, 18.
And then you add the damage.
18, 3, 4, so what, 22? But
then add his strength for aggressive, right?
So strength's 5, so it's 27. That's well above.
And subtract his armor, then you'll be...
Yeah. It's well above his wound threshold. It's going to be a moot point after armor, so we'll have to make... he suffers a wound for sure.
Yeah, but you got to know the exact one for in case he needs to make a death roll.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't just say, well, that's just above it, so if it's somewhere in between, that's fine, but you need to know the exact number.
Because of the mortality threshold.
Yes.
Which should be 28. So it's just below it.
Oof.
Just below it. So he still takes a wound.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes 1 wound. And then I'm gonna mark it.
Well, is it piercing armor? Like if it's piercing armor, then it's half of it is removed.
Right.
So it would maybe pop it up above there.
All right, let's do this again. Okay, so it's 21.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's going to have a -3 because of it's an arm strike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be 18. Then you add the weapon damage, which should be 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which should be what, 22?
Mm-hmm.
And then strength, which should be 27.
Yep.
And
then what's his piercing armor is the next question.
His piercing armor for this dude, for Kaynir, is let me look. For the arm, nothing, no armor.
Okay, so that's it then.
27, so he's still under immortality, he just gets a wound.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he gets 1 wound. I marked that in sheet. That should be factored in then, correct?
Yeah, if you click it on there, yep.
Yep. All right, now the werewolf will get a what, -3 on any defensive actions he takes.
Well, reckless
-1.
attack is, reckless attack is a hardship, and then he gets an extra -3 in additional mods for aggressive.
Got it. So double whammy.
Like a whammy and a half, kind of.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, Trinian, your turn.
Dorthonion had been planning to sort of just go for a cautious attack because he was going to just kind of test the enemy's defences, but seeing as this thing's nearly, it's nearly ripped a chunk out of Kaner in just the first few seconds of the combat, he changes and he too goes for a reckless attack. So that'll be 4 AP. It does mean I'll get 3 benefits, plus an extra one for my weapon mastery, plus I get a plus 4 modifier for my sword, so I'm going for that. Or rather, I will in 4 AP's time, I guess. Or do I do it now?
You attack immediately.
Okay, cool, thank you. So... Okay, I'm going to have to do it off the sheet here. I don't think Bo had time to set macros. Where am I?
No, I didn't have time for yours.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. How do I roll off the sheet, Tet?
Go to swords.
Okay, yep.
It's not all going to be mixed together. You have to figure out everything.
No worries. So dexterity, swords.
I can change it real quick for you.
Okay, 4 benefits. Trained, additional mods, 4. Oh, not as good as I hoped. Load of
7
low
is a
rolls.
torso strike.
Torso, so that's no mods, right? No
That's
mods.
correct. Mm-hmm.
All right, 37. So it's definitely hit.
Well, it gets to dodge, right?
Yes, dodge, yeah.
If it wants. Now, it's base defense. You might assume its base defense is better. I don't know.
Let me see what it is.
Because he's going to take a hardship and a -3 to anything. Plus, if you want to use the gang up rules, he would take another -3.
Yeah, I was reading about that in the plane. Not tonight. Not tonight. I want to do that. Okay, I'll make it quick. Yeah, I'm just going to use my base defense of 18.
Okay.
Right. So base defense 18, torso. He doesn't have any armor anywhere.
I'm 19 over that.
So that's 19, which is over his mortality threshold, but not, or over his wound threshold, but not his mortality. So tell me what it looks like as you wound the werewolf.
Yeah.
Did you add the damage to the sword damage?
Oh, yeah, what's the sword damage?
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's a good point. That would be... Give me a sec. That is 4 slashing. So that will be 23.
Don't you have something for your magic sword though?
No, that's what has the +4.
Oh,
usually the hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you want the 2 hit?
Yeah,
So 23. Yeah, so it's a wound.
Cool. So Dorthonion, he was planning a sort of a strike round his shield, basically. But then seeing what's happened, he raises his sword high and shouts, "Face me, beast!" and then strikes it down and tries to hit it in the head, but it pulls its head back and he cuts it diagonally across the torso.
He kind of turns his attention towards you. So that's 4, right? So you get 9.27.
Yep.
I would use a token thing on him to make sure he's reckless attack last time. That's one of the things I forget often.
So both of them are reckless attack.
Mm-hmm.
He actually would have lost more on his dodge roll too, though, honestly. It wouldn't
Probably.
matter. It was still just been a wound.
There's a lot of times you dodge and you have a lot of negatives, and you would be better off doing your base defense instead. I think that's probably the wise choice, is what you did.
Okay.
Plus, he doesn't spend an AP to do anything.
Right, correct. So now I'll get to go again. But Terrenian, he did a reckless attack. So you did the lightning there.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, so the werewolf turns his attention towards you and tries to leap upon you, and you smell this maw, the throat kind of coming down at your face. And just a regular attack here. Oh, really good rolls.
Yeah.
32 minus 3, it's 29.
Well, let him do his dodge first, because the -3 is on the post-roll modifier.
So, I'm going to take, if I dodge, I will take a hardship from being reckless, but I do get a benefit from my defensive, so I'm going to try a dodge. I may regret this.
You could parry too, you know, with your sword. You might, if
oh,
your
actually,
sword's
yeah,
better.
I've got a shield. In fact, can I use? Can I use
do that too.
Cool. Shields. Yeah, I will use my shield. Thank you, Ted.
What's the defensive rating and what's the shield rating?
So I think they're both 2. It's a kite shield. Let me just double check. It is. Yeah, defensive 2, shield 2.
Yeah, so shield 2 is a +2, and then defensive 2 is 2 benefits.
Okay, so I'm going to get. I'll get 3 benefits then. +2 and a hardship.
Yeah, but you're saying defensive? You have
Yes.
the defensive trait? Yeah, but you weren't in full defense.
No, if I were in full defense, I'd get a massive bonus.
Yeah, but
I gain.
only...
I gain.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll put the text in. Hold on.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I get 28.
So 29, 28. So it's still a base success value of 1, and right.
4, because you do the right arm stuff is damage. It's a post roll modifier. So, like say 32 versus 28 is the first thing you do first.
That's what you do first. Okay.
Yeah, you do for that.
So
first.
4. And then
sometimes it can
4.
matter. It doesn't in this case, but sometimes.
And, 4, and then the 4 on top of it. Do you have weapon or armor on your right arm?
Yes, I do. Right arm. I have. This is what, slashing or piercing?
Piercing.
Piercing 3.
So you roll, and it has a piercing quality to the bite, though, right? So, and you round down.
Mm-hmm.
So what? It only soak 1 of it, so it'd be 7.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably not over your wound. What's your injury? 3.
It's over my yeah.
Your injury level looks like 3.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So my current is 3, but my maximum's at 6. So.
Yeah, I'd make sure I would. You
Yeah,
should change that.
Okay, so just put my current up to my max. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, make sure you do that for everything, or it'll jack up all your stats on the sheet.
Yeah.
So you take 1 injury, then.
Cool. I'll add that. Okay.
Your turn.
Okay. So this time I'm going to do what I was planning to do the first time. Now I've got his attention, I'm going to do a cautious attack. So I'm going to take a hardship. So roll. Oops. Swords. 1 benefit, 1 hardship. Okay. So this time Terrenian's keeping his shield in front of him and kind of strikes round the shield.
He doesn't want to spend any more APs. So narratively, he's just like lashing at you guys. He's going to use his base defense. And so the base defense is 18. So what's the weapon on you? What's the damage on your sword?
It is 4.
So it's 27. So that's a torso strike for the 7, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So 27 minus 18.
9.
And it's plus 4 for the
Yep. 13.
sword. I think that's it, right? Am I missing anything, Tet?
I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Oh, I forgot my...
Unless he has armor.
Hold on, I forgot my plus 4 pre-roll modifier, so I should have another 13 on that 17.
Mm-hmm.
It should be, sorry.
Another 13, so 26?
No, just 17 total instead of 13 total. The difference.
So
No.
total.
Yeah. at this
Which is
point.
good, because that'll give him a wound.
Hey!
He doesn't have any armor. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
He's a werewolf.
Yeah. I thought he might have
Oh,
like, some natural armor or something.
he does have regenerative, though.
Yeah, so anytime he takes a wound, he gets to immediately make a recovery roll.
Yep, I'll do it this time, and we'll see if it happens. So
Oh dear.
I'm going to add it into the sheet just for fun. I might have you make another courage check and then like give you a mental, like some sort of like -3 or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
That seems called for, yeah.
He just like heals himself. All right, so it's a I have it listed here. Recovery skill check.
Mm-hmm.
Heal it. Oh, what's the TN of that?
Whatever the wound is.
So 13.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. So that's not very hard. Let me see. Oh, he has no skills. Untrained.
Well, then he's untrained, yeah. Get him in maxis, guys. Not use orc stats.
Well,
Yeah.
give him power. I do everything, man. That didn't do it. So the wounds, you see them start to knit themselves, and it just splits open, and blood starts to pour down the werewolf's left leg, pooling at Kanir's side. All right, so that was you just did a regular attack, so it's what?
That was cautious.
3, so
That was cautious,
12.27.
which is... Let me look up what cautious is. 3.
3, so 12.27. Okay, 12.27. See, we'll go down to there. Kanir. I'm gonna try to finish this guy with a reckless attack. Now, can you skirt around them, Tet?
There's you can do a lunge attack. But a lunge attack would be fine. You could do a lunge attack here. So you can move 1 hex and then attack.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it simple. And I'll do reckless. So that's a 4. 14.26.
There's other things you could do without attacking, like there's strafe and stuff, but I suggest looking at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So reckless, I get 3 benefits, so that's good. He's gonna have to just use his base defense, I'm guessing. So combat menu. He's going to use his sword. Benefits 3. Trained. Additional mods, nothing. Hardships, nothing. 34. Left arm strike, -3. That's good. That's really good for this guy.
Nice.
Base defense is 18. So I'm gonna do the math here. So it's gonna be 34 minus 18 minus 3. And he has no armor, so I think that's it. That's the total success levels, right? So 13. It's not over his wound. It's over his injury, though. So he takes an injury.
How many
Got it.
wounds does he have?
He has 2.
What's his threshold for?
Wound threshold's 4. Yep. So Kanir, narratively, is hacking with this thing. The werewolf lunges at him. He catches the werewolf's arm on his sword, slices it, then spins around, slicing at his hamstring, injuring him. He says, Dorthonion, finish him off now before it's too late.
This thing heals fast.
It's the werewolf's turn. And he focuses his efforts on Dorthonion. And he'll do another reckless attack. Three benefits. Trained, additional mods, none. Hardships. 32. Does Kanir have any wounds? He does have 1 wounds. He's just going to use his base defense of 16. Okay, so it's 32 minus 16. And does he have armor on his torso? Let me look. It has 3 armor. So, but the weapon has piercing, so he's going to take. It's only going to absorb 1 of it. So, plus 3, which is 19.
Don't forget aggressive.
What's that? Crap.
Plus 5.
Because of his strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus 5. Okay, it's 24. Not over his mortality, but he takes another wound. It's not good at all. So he's an NPC, so I'm not like tracking it really hardcore, but on a player character, he would mark down the exact value, correct?
Yeah, mm-hmm. For healing later on.
Yeah. Okay. And so that was the 16.42. I guess it makes sense. I was going to say, I wonder if you should look at, if they're so hurt they're using their base defense for everything, that the reckless attack should have some penalty, but maybe not, because you're being reckless if you're that if you're that hurt, right?
You're just talking about your base. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, base defense is there even if you're unconscious.
You're going for broke. You're like, you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dorthonion's turn.
Okay. Okay, so Dorthonion, this time he's going to reckless attack because he sees it's injured. He wants to finish it, and he's seen that it's trying to heal. He wants to finish it before it can heal and go for them both, because he knows Kin is pretty badly injured. So it's going to be 4 AP. I'm going to get 4 benefits, 3 from the reckless and 1 from my normal. Trained, and additional mods is 4 from my sword. Ooh.
No!
I think it's a leg strike, though. But yeah, it's huge.
58's a leg strike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's do this. I like this little calculator. It makes it easy for me to think about it. So 58 A leg is what, -3?
Well, don't do that first. Do the defense first. Because that
Yeah.
leg only matters if you hit.
Okay, so 58 minus 18.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to hit.
Yep.
So then leg is what, -3?
Mm-hmm.
He has no armor, so it doesn't matter. And then what's your weapon damage?
4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh yes.
So his it might be instant kill. Mortality threshold's 32.
He's got to roll it then. Are you doing the wound? Are you doing the alternate rule, whether you don't add wound levels or? So basically, he's gonna make a death roll, right?
Yeah,
Typically, you make a resilience roll plus your wound level. But there's an alternate rule now where you don't have to add that wound level to make it more deadly.
I would not add wound level for NPCs.
Yep. Then
So let me check the thing. There should be a box here, right?
Wound level is under wounds, so you can do it from the sheet or do it from his macros.
There's a toggle somewhere.
Well, it's after you click it.
It is.
Mm-hmm. If I sent you the new sheet,
I did. I plugged it in.
Okay, then you should just click it and then it'll ask you yes or no.
Just do werewolf and just do a death save then, right?
Mm-hmm. Do it from the sheet though. I think that would work best. Because I think if you do it from the template, it's still not right.
Add wound level, no.
Made it.
Ooh.
He's not trained though. So he only keeps, it still would make it, but...
I'm going to do it again just so I can look at that. So, wound level, no. There's no option for trained, untrained off the sheet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, probably. It probably just assumes trained.
So, if it's 41, I don't have to beat 41?
Yeah, you have to beat a 41. Mm-hmm.
You have to roll under it?
No, he's got to roll over it. It was 41, then yeah, he's dead. Mm-hmm.
He rolled 35.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, he didn't make it.
Now, if he would add his wound levels, he would have made it, see?
Yeah, I get it.
So it makes it more deadly.
Add like wound level.
You just said your static wound level, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, tell me what it looks like as you finish him off.
So the werewolf's trying to sort of fight both of them at once, and it's been taking these wounds. And Kainir strikes a damaging blow against it, and calls on Terenian to finish it off. And Terenian does just that. He feints to one side, and then pulls aside his shield to kind of get it to prepare for a lunge against him. And then just as he rears back for a lunge, he steps off to one side and brings the sword down diagonally as he does, and he severs its right leg, and it falls to the ground, pouring blood. And he stands above it and looks down on it. I thought he was going to say something, so I'll let it speak.
The Lord of Wolves will soon come upon you, elf. Dark will be the night that descends upon the north of this land, and all of your kin will be put to the tooth and the Fang. Kill me now. A million more will spring in my stead.
Tell me what you know of the enemy's plans, and I will grant you the mercy of a swift death.
Mercy is not something I am accustomed to, Eldar. Instead, I will go into this night screaming in pain. He spits at you and he tries to bite your leg. What do you do?
And Terenian looks down at him with just... He still fears him, but he tries not to let that show in his face, and he looks down at him with contempt and says, "You may not know mercy, but the Eldar still do. Even such as you shall get a swift death." And he just runs him straight through the torso with his sword.
And only then do you look over to your right on Sagrayan. Your brother, the scout, his leg bleeding. He has an open wound from his left groin. The bleeding has stopped. He's very pale. My captain.
I'll rush over there. I'll say to Kainir, "Burn this thing." And I'll rush over. Unless I know that Kainir is... If I know he's sort of a skilled healer, then I'll tell him to tend to his wounds, but otherwise I'll rush over.
Nope. He's not a skills healer.
Sadly, neither am I. And I'll rush over and I'll see if I can do anything to stem the bleeding. Just kind of like tear off some of my sleeve or something, or if there's a bit of my tunic sticking out or something I can just grab and rip. I guess it'll be something unarmoured. My legs are unarmoured, so I'll rip off a bit of my the end of my trouser leg or something, and just kind of push that down on the wound and try and stem the bleeding.
Yeah, give me a hard healing check at the TN 29.
Okay. Remind myself what that is. Healing. Oh, sorry. I'm untrained. I clicked trained by accident. Nope.
Give me the tender moment as life fades from the eyes of this Noldor. And he descends halls of Mandos.
Yeah, so Trinian holds the sort of fragment of fine cloth there as long as he can, and as it just soaks through with blood and he realizes it's done no use, he switches from sort of words of encouragement to he takes what's his name again, Sogrion's hand, and he takes his hand and clasps his hand in his arm, and together they say an ancient prayer until Sogrion slips away.
As you look to your right, Terenian, you see Kainir as he steps back from the werewolf, and whoosh, the flames leap high into the sky, reaching into the clear mountain air, and the wind whips the smoke this way and that. Kainir knows not to say anything. As he looks over towards his friend and yours, he sees that his face is very pale and that his stare is blank as he directs his gaze into the timeless void. My captain, you lost him.
Terenian stands and he's looking weary. Not so much physically weary as just wearied by what he's seen here, and he gives a slight inclination of his head, a tiny nod to Kainir. He says, and he looks back at Sogrian and leans down and closes his eyes. And he says, we must take him back to our people, to his kin. But first there is business here. We should search this cave, make sure that no more of this foul brood are to be found within.
I understand. I am wounded, alas. I will delve as deeply and as darkly as I can. I would see to it that no evil such as this sees the light of day again. Although, if they have ascended behind our ranks, I fear to think what may happen in the future.
This is true, my friend. We must think of more than ourselves. You should return to the horses. If I do not return within a few minutes, then go. Bring news to our people. I will return if I can. And then Dorthonion, holding his sword up, he advances into the cave.
As you go into the cave, you see all manner of refuse. There are old, discarded bones, mostly the carcasses of animals, it looks like. Mountain sheep and goats and that sort of thing. But as you delve deeper and further, it gets warmer and warmer, and you see no end of the tunnel in sight. It's infinite blackness, going down and down to the north and to the north.
So yeah, this leads right down under the mountains and everything into right below the Thangorodrim. So yeah, as soon as I see that, I will beat quite a hasty retreat. It's kind of Dorthonion's worst fears have been realised. So the enemy have not just dug below our feet, but potentially past our lines. So this is very bad. So he comes out of the cave and he picks up Sogrian's body, and he sort of stumbles his way down this rough path in the dark. Luckily there's a full moon to light the way, but he stumbles his way back, following the blood trail, back to where they left the horses, and where hopefully Kainir is still waiting.
Kainir is waiting for you with the horses, and he says, "Please tell me that there is some light at the end of this bleak journey. Tell me that it is a cave ending in a spring, a dead end."
And Dorthonion bows his head for a moment and says, "Any hope that I could give you at this point, my friend, would be a false hope. The cave led deep below the earth, deep below the mountains to the north. Fear that our enemy has dug long and dug far. Who knows how many other caves there are exiting in how many places. Our foes may surround us without us even knowing it. We must bring warning back to our people. The Eldar must know of this treachery."
then our return to Dorthonion is not ill-advised. Indeed, the timing is most fruitful. But for now, we bring what remains of our friend back to his kin. I dare say that we should tarry upon this mountain. I do not want our kinfolk's celebration of Varda to be sullied. This ill tiding, it can wait until the morning, Tyrannian. But for now, let us ride into this darkness and this gloom, and steel ourselves for the days to come.
And Tyrannian sort of looks round and he sort of sees the fires of Thangorodrim in the distance, and then he nods to Kainir and says, "Yes, let us ride in silence and darkness. That fits my mood." And he puts he claps a hand on Kainir's shoulder, and then he hoists Sogrion's body onto his horse, and together they ride off down the mountain.
And tell me what it looks like as you ride through the night and then eventually descend upon the camp, which is further into Ardgalen and further away from the enemy, where the elves are mustering for the return to Dorthonion.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me what it looks like as you bring back the broken body of their ally.
Yeah, so as they ride closer to the camp, you know, the first impression you get of the area is it's greener and much more lush, and then there are the bright banners of the elves, and then you can see just the extent of this vast host. And then as you get closer, you see that there's an air of merriment almost about the camp. You know, people are celebrating. They're about to return home and get away from this oppressive place. This valley's oppressive, but the oppression of the fortress of Angband kind of hangs over everything. And then into the midst of this light mood ride these two elves with their fallen comrade. He was wounded severely enough that the body is kind of caked with blood, and it's pretty obvious he didn't die of a fall from his horse or anything. And Kainir is also obviously bearing a severe wound. And they ride into the camp, and as they ride, a sort of silence spreads behind them. And as they get to the sort of centre of the camp, Trenian dismounts and heads to the sort of like the command tent to bear the news to their leaders, and a tense, nervous crowd surrounds Kainir.
And I think as you bring the body of your fallen comrade, that's what will end it for tonight. Thanks for playing.